Hi guys, so today I'm giving a little bit of a different video. So in my last videos, other than the tag video, I did the Book of Shadows and what my Book of Shadows looked like. And this morning I received a comment asking some questions about specific Book of Shadows and how I specifically did things. So I'm going to try my best to answer them, and I figured the best way to do so would be through a video in case any of you guys had the same questions. So the comment was from Susan Fraser. She said, "I would love to attempt to make one. I love the look of both your books, but my favorite is the second one. May I ask how you did the front of the book and what type of paper did you actually use for the pages?" Okay, so I'll answer that little section first, and they go from there. Okay, so for the front of my book, I'm trying to think of the easiest way to describe this. So, like I said with my other book and with this book, I used cardboard to make the front, and then what I did is I distressed some paper bag to make it look like this. So what I had actually done is a couple days or so before I started it, I'd gone to Olive Garden and I got one of their takeout bags. So their takeout bags are huge. So you could honestly do this with any type of paper bag. You could do brown paper lunch bags, a little bit smaller, so you'd have to use multiple ones. Or you could go to a craft store and buy a giant brown paper bag. That would work too. But yeah, it's huge. So what I did was I saved it and I cut it out to fit the size of the cardboard that I had cut out from my book. And then what I did is literally I just distressed it. So I didn't use the parts on the end, because on the inside of this bag, where the handles are, it's like this weird paper patch to hold in the handle. So I kind of cut the top of that off and then cut it so it would lay flat, and then did it that way. And then whenever you do use it, if it has a decal on the front, you just flip it on the inside, because then you won't see it. So what I did, the first part was, like I said, I cut it out, and then I just took it and wrinkled the crap out of it. And I'm not sure if you guys ever did it in school, like in kindergarten-ish, maybe 2 or 3 grade, somewhere around there. But here, we studied like Native American culture, and we would make leather out of paper, and it was just, you would just crumple up paper, and the more you crumple it, the softer it got. So that's the principle. So you go until you get the texture and the look that you like, and that's how mine ended up. So it just literally looks like soft, almost like a faux fur, faux something. That's how it looks. So crumple, crumple, crumple. I didn't like the darkness of it, so what I did is I did the tea stain. I'll go on to that. But I didn't bake this one. Or did I bake it? No, I did bake. I didn't bake it as long though, because it's already brown. Just enough to get it so it's not wet anymore. So I just took a simple basting brush, like I did for the paper. Went over top of it. I only did the one side because I only needed to see the one side. Put it on a baking sheet and put it in the oven. So for the oven, for any of this stuff, I did the highest setting that my oven would go. Actually, it's not the highest setting. I did 450. For this one was about 5 minutes. So for the paper front, it was 5 minutes. And then to create the detail was just super easy. So I used Mod Podge to help set everything. So any kind of like decoupage, you could use super glue, whatever you prefer. And then I had extra pieces, so I stained those too, and I burnt them a little bit, so that's how you get the texture here. And then I just glued them on. So this is glued on the top and the bottom. It actually folds over the top of the book, and it's not actually even attached in the middle. You can't see it, but you can see right through. Similar with this one, just to kind of give it effects of skin, really. I did one on the back. This one's a little bit more poorly done because you can kind of see the Mod Podge outline, but it's actually a little pocket. So once I find a crystal or an herb or something like that to protect my book, other than my book blessing, I'm going to put it in the back. Kind of did something similar for my first book, but I actually put a lock of my hair and a lock of my wife's hair in it, but I put it on the inside cover and I put it underneath the paper. So I put it down, then glued over top of it with the page to kind of put our own purpose into it. Yeah, so I just kind of glued the patches on however I saw fit. To get the spine the way I have the spine with the little groovies, what I did was once I had the book covered, when I started adding the details on top, I took a glue gun and just ran little lines across to give it kind of like that spined look. And then I had another paper bag and I just did the same thing, distressed it and then put it over to make it look like it was just a book binding. And with this one, as you can kind of see it here, it kind of tore a little bit, so be careful. But I added a lot of glue here. I used Mod Podge again to attach it. Lots and lots of glue. And I pushed a little bit too hard here. So the only thing with paper bag, once you sat there and crumpled it up, it's kind of lost its dexterity a little bit. So you want to make sure that you don't push too hard because you'll end up tearing it. And then for the eyeball, I just flipped through a bunch of magazines until I found an eye that I liked, proper size that I wanted, all that kind of stuff. I think this was like an ad for Nivea or something like that. I don't know. But I just went through and cut it out. And then to give it kind of the lift and the dimension, what I did is I went to our local craft store. Here we really only have like dollar stores or Michael's. So I went to Michael's. And you know dragon pearls, they usually are like little tiny things. Well, I found the bigger ones, which are like that. My phone's going off. I'm never so popular. So it's literally, I don't know if you can see it that way. It fits right in the palm of your hand, but it's quite a bit bigger than the normal ones. And this bag, it's quite a decent bag. It has a couple different sizes in it, so I grabbed the one that I thought fit the size of the eye a bit better, and it kind of curved and contoured in a way that looked a little bit better than an eye, rather than just using a straight circular one, like say this one. It would look a little bit funny when it's something that kind of curved. And I managed to find one in my batch that did that, so it was kind of flatter on the bottom and kind of curved, kind of like almond-ish shape on top. So that was really cool. And then what I did was I took Mod Podge, any kind of glue really, whichever kind of glue you want. I just kind of fell in love with Mod Podge, so it's kind of like decoupage. If any of you are going, what the heck is Mod Podge? It's like decoupage. So I glued the eye picture down. I kind of cut it out so it was fit the shape of the dragon pearl. Excuse me. And then I glued the dragon pearl down, but in order to glue the dragon pearl down, I used hot glue. So I let the picture dry, and then I took my dragon pearl, and on the back, the smoothie side, I put a ring of hot glue gun along the outside, really quickly put it down. So you want to make sure that you're confident in the fact of where you know you're going to put it, and be like prepared to know, okay, this is what I'm going to do. So it's like glue and then put, because if you've ever worked with hot glue, you know that it dries like instantaneously, and then you're screwed if you want to do anything else with it. So I did that, and it gave it a kind of like a shadowy effect, excuse me, with inside of the underneath part. So it kind of gave a little bit more oomph and dimension. And then I just really just took extra scrap stuff that I still had a little bit left over and just kind of covered it in a way that it looked like a little eyelid. And then for the detailing was really just putting a little bit more burn marks, just using a match. So like this one, the dark spots on the back, and then the dark runny looking spots and the wax. Literally, I just burned a candle and just held it over the side. But yeah. So it's super easy, and if you look really closely, you can see the different pieces I used. I used 4 pieces to make the outside part of this eye here. And what I did was I put the 2 side pieces on first, and then I put the bottom and the top piece on to make like eyelids. It was really not that hard, and then I just burned it a little bit. I'm being very careful at this point because I wasn't sure if the dragon pearl thing would shatter under heat, so I was like, say this is my piece of paper and this is my match. Literally, I was like just enough to slightly light it maybe, and that was it. If you ever have a better burning technique for paper, then by all means go ahead and do whatever you feel. As for the question of what type of paper did I actually use, because she's like, all I have is regular old printer paper, which that's all I used for my first one was regular old printer paper. I didn't age that paper, and it wasn't thick, but I could have. I didn't want to take the time to age 500 pages worth of paper. Hold on, my cat's being a little turd. Okay. And so I just grabbed the package that I had, and I figured I would show you guys. So the dimensions on this one, so this is what I used for the folding method that I talked about in the other picture, or in the other video. So the dimensions are 11 inches by 17 inches. That's how long the paper is. Oh, it's literally just this giant thing. And this is recycled. No, it's not. Maybe it is. I don't know. It's just regular printer paper, honestly. It's thin. It's flimsy. It's the same as regular printer paper. It's just longer. Okay. And then, yeah, so the only reason why I chose this one is when you fold it completely in half, it's the exact same size as an 8 by 11 for printer paper. Okay. Actually, it's like 8.5. Is that 8.5? Is what regular printer paper? I don't know. But yeah, so honestly, just use whatever paper you have. As long as you're delicate with it and treat it nicely, it'll work for you. So now I'm going to get to the tea part. Let's see if I got all of her questions so far. I have only old printer paper here, so it's not thick/heavy. So like I said, it doesn't have to be thick or heavy. As long as you're gentle with it and nice with it, it'll do what you need it to do. And actually it kind of gets thicker once you've dyed it because it's given a little bit of oomph to it. I'm in the UK and have never heard or seen tea or coffee you used, but it sounds great. Okay. So, unfortunately, the tea that I told you guys about has been discontinued. So I actually got this when I used to work at a tea store. But really, if you go to any kind of bulk tea selling place, or I'm not sure if you guys have Tea Havana in the UK, or I know you have it in the States. I can't remember if it was in the UK, though. I don't think so. But just do a little bit of research. You can go online, and if they have a website, and see what's in their tea. So in this one was called French Spice Quartet. Okay, and it had just had some really witchy vibes to it, which I liked. So you open it up, and the first thing you smell is cinnamon and clove. So hence why I used it. And then, you know, the perk of working behind the counter is I knew exactly what was in it. And I knew the fact that most of our teas were organic. So there's kind of what it looks like. I didn't get any of the cloves out, but there is some in there. But just choose a tea. I would go with either, actually you could really go with any kind of tea. Maybe not a white tea or a green tea, because then you're going to have a greenish tinge. Kind of go with a tea that's going to dye darker. So if you're going to go with herbal, go with something that's not too fruity. If it is fruity, it's fruit that when you make the tea, it turns into a dark color. It's like if you go with like an orange tea or something like that. We had like a strawberry lemonade, it comes out pink. Wouldn't exactly be ideal for dyeing your pages. But this one here is an oolong tea, and most oolong teas, unless it's on the green side, are usually come out darker. So what you can do, most of the time when you go to a tea house, you just get a thing of tea, and then you could try it, like go and have a cup before you purchase it, because most of the time buying tea is a little bit expensive. Take a look, see what the color is. Just don't get any milk or anything put into it. If you like milk and sugar in your tea, just wait until you've actually looked at it and then put it in yourself afterwards. And then kind of judge it from there. So just kind of remember the color that your tea steeps to is the color that's going to come out on your paper, especially if you're using white paper. And then what you're going to do is just brew your tea. Brew it however you want. So you can let it sit longer than whatever, because you're not going to...
message for you.
I have a message. Sorry. Longer than you would when you're drinking it, because you don't have to worry about it being bitter. If you want it to be a bit darker, if you want some of the magical properties of the stuff that's in there, like I said, this has clove, it had some other spices, cinnamon, nutmeg, all that kind of stuff. It was like, oh, and it was discontinued, so I actually got this for free. But let it steep until the color that you like it, and then what you do, you just take your tea out, put that tea aside, don't throw it away, and let your tea cool. And then I made my coffee. So I got this coffee from the Superstore, which is a superstore. It's a grocery store here. It's just actually kind of like Walmart, the cheaper prices. You can get clothes and makeup and all that kind of stuff. And then huge food section, excuse me. And they carry the brand President's Choice for us. And this was a limited time only, but if you go around the holiday times, around any kind of store like that, like if you guys have Walmart or any kind of big store like that that sells kind of like specialty items around the holidays, this was a limited time holiday special coffee. And it was Arabic coffee, naturally flavored candy cane flavored ground coffee. And I got it 50% off because nobody bought it. I tried it, like I originally bought it to have it as like actual coffee to drink. So I was like, oh, sweet, peppermint coffee, yes. Not as good as I thought it was going to be. So I found another use for it. Peppermint, of course, you know, has some Wiccan properties, so why not use it? So same thing, this one, I brewed it. It's literally just a fine, coarse coffee. If you don't have something like this, you just use regular coffee. You could always add essential oils or something to your tea and coffee mixture when it's done if you want more. If you don't care about, not that you don't care about, if you don't want to put that much effort into what's actually on your pages and worry about putting the effort into what you put on the pages, if that makes sense, then you don't have to really worry about it. But I felt fine with this. If I had just had a regular coffee, I might have put some like sage essential oils or sandalwood or something to give it a little bit of more of a magical oomph to it. It smells really good. It smells pepperminty. So yeah, made it. Put the coffee grounds with the leftover tea stuff, so the tea residue, leftovers, I don't know. And then I combined the coffee into the tea, so I had a giant, I think I actually put the tea into the coffee pot, can't remember, But you could put them into a bowl and just let them sit and do their thing together, and make sure it's cold before you put it on your tea. Yeah. So then once that stuff was cold, what I actually did was I put the leftovers, so the coffee grounds and the tea leftover stuff, into a strainer and put it in the tea, and then like into the bowl. And then I got the biggest cookie sheet I could find that would fit this piece of paper. And I got one piece of paper, and literally this took me forever. So you could find a way to do this easier if you wanted. You could do multiple pages at a time. You could do them right on the rack in the oven. You don't have to do it on a cookie sheet. I just did it for convenience, which ended up turning to be a burden. So the pages that I did quite a bit, and it took me like a month to do these pages because I did them one at a time. So I didn't do them all at once like she asked. I did one at a time. So put the page on here, and as you can see, it pretty much perfectly fits. It's a little bit folded up on the sides, which is fine. Took my brush. I put it into the strainer part. So when you put the strainer into the water, of course, you're going to have some watery tea coffee mixture that mixes with the coffee grinds and the tea grinds. Put it in there. That way I got a little bit of tea grinds and a little bit of coffee grinds on my brush, and then just covered it. Yeah, like literally just went to town. Had fun with it. I just did one side. Then I put it into the oven at 450, like I said. That's the same temperature for all of them. So 450, I put this in for 10 minutes. And then what I did is I pulled it out. At that point, it's pretty much usually fairly dry. And it's already going to start to have this like folded, creased texture. You'll get the look like you're looking for, the old distressed look, without having to screw with the paper, really. So that's whatever. It'll look like, kind of like that. Okay. What I would do is I would pick the paper up and kind of brush the grinds, like the tea coffee grounds and all that gunky stuff. Be very gentle, but brush it back into the strainer. And then flip your page over. So you dyed this page. So, like, you know, carefully pick it up. Do this, brush everything off, then check the back side of your page. If it's dyed how you like it, then so be it. Just remember at that point one side's going to be darker than the other because you didn't actually dye the other side. It just kind of seeped through. If you want the other side to be a bit darker, you put the side that you just dyed down on facing down, okay? And you take just like put this not in the strainer part of your bowl, just the tea and coffee mixture, and do a very, very light, quick brush over top of the back and put it back into the oven for only about 5 minutes, just enough for it to dry. Reason why you don't want to put a whole schwack load of tea and coffee mixture on the second side is it will seep through again to the other side. The other side will turn a lot darker. So just do a quick, light little layer just to give it a little bit of extra color. Yeah, that's about it. And then what you do, once you're done, you take it out, put it somewhere to finish drying. So it's probably pretty much dry at this point once you take it out of the oven. What I did is I put mine on top of our pantry. Our pantry is just like a wire rack. So that's what I put it on. So it kind of had some air around it. You can put it by a window if you don't have pesky little cats like I do. Or anything like that. And then it's going to dry. And it's going to dry all wrinkled and all cool and whatever. And then what I did is once I had the number of pages that I wanted, I just folded it. And this part, I didn't worry about it being completely lined up because I wanted my book to look a little bit older, distressed. And, you know, if you look at older books, they're not always, like, perfect, which I like. So that's what I did. And I just kind of folded it in half. And then what I did is because of the way that they were aged and the way that they were wrinkled, they were quite bulky. So what I did was I folded them out in half, put a whole stack of them, and put heavy books on top to try and squish them down to be flatter. And as you can see, the book doesn't quite close the way it should, which would be like that. And that's because the pages are so bulky because you've aged them. If you saw my first book, it's like literally just a straight book. Like the pages match exactly where the spine is. This one is not, because of the fact that I dyed the pages and they're a little bit wrinkly, so I squished them as best as I could, which is actually quite a bit. I got quite a bit of bulk out of this. It used to be like here because of the way the pages sat. And then if you want it to continue more once you've made the book, just squish it like that. And I think that's all of her questions. Yeah, I think I got it. So, I hope that answered your question, Susan. If you have any other questions, if you go down below, I think I'm going to put it in there, will be my email address. You can send me an email, and I can try and write it out for you, like a detailed description of what I did. Yeah, either that, or if you want any more little helps or anything like that, I can always add you on like Skype or something if you have Skype, and I can try and walk you through it that way, and that might be cool if that would help you a bit better than watching a video. It would be more face-to-face. But yeah, I'm here to help. I'm not here to say that, you know, you guys can't do what I did, because who does that? If you guys want to make a book like mine, then so be it. Make a book like mine. I'm flattered. But yeah, I'll do whatever I can in my power to help you get it done. So if it means doing that, or building another book, and I can show you step by step, put pictures, email you pictures, something like that. Whatever I can do to help you. Yeah, and that's about it. I also have a question for you guys. What do you think I should cover next? I'm having a little bit of a funky brain fart, really, as to what I should cover next on this channel. I was thinking of going through all the elements that I mentioned in the what I include in my Book of Shadows, and going through each one and talking about them. So like the Reed, and like the 13 Principles of the Witchcraft, and 161 Laws, and doing one video for each one, and talking about what I feel about it, like if I feel that you need it or not, what my interpretation of it is. If that's something you guys would like to see, let me know. If you have any other ideas, you can comment, and I will do my best to do research if I don't know what it is, and I'll talk about it. But yeah, and I appreciate all of my new subscribers. Thank you, everybody. And all the lovely comments that I've gotten about everything. And yeah, alright, so yeah, any other questions, feel free to contact me, personal message me, anything like that. And please subscribe and like. Bye, guys.